Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to give you my top 5 modifications for your AK to really make it as capable as it can be while still maintaining a pretty stock appearance. Now these 5 modifications are all currently done to this gun, and even if I show them to you right now, you probably couldn't spot them all. How can we make a gun that looks like this shoot as good as it possibly can without just covering this thing in mods, without special gunsmithing, cutting barrels down, or anything crazy like that? Stuff that can all be easily removed if you wanted to go back to factory stock. 5 things. Let's go ahead and talk about number 1. Before we do that, if you want to support this channel, I'm going to say the best thing to do right now is to go to Kalash, Texas. If you have an AK, doesn't matter what it looks like, factory original or completely pimped out, maybe you have an alpha clone. If you want to shoot that gun at a competition, bring it to the largest AK event in the country. Kalash Bash is happening the first weekend of April 2025. I'm going to put the link for tickets down below. It really is a festival for AK love. 50 to 60 vendors out there that are all there for you to try out their products and their guns and their ammo. We have machine gun rentals, airsoft, helicopter rides, and of course we have the 325 shooter strong competition that happens out in our jungle runs for AKs only. It really is a great time. So if you want to support us, come to Kalash Bash. That ticket link is down below. Let's get back to the video. Number 1 is a muzzle device. More specifically, a muzzle device that has multiple functions. This one is in fact a chemo suppressor mount as well as a 2-chamber brake. So I've gone with a JMAC RRD 2C chemo. It's a 14x1 face mount. So what's really special about this is this muzzle device actually tightens to the face of an AK. You never want to tighten a suppressor mount or a brake of any kind on an AK, tightening it into your sight post. It won't hold it straight. It's the wrong way to do it. Not a lot of people are doing face mounts, but some are. So for whatever suppressor that you have, a combination muzzle device, I think, is a great way to modify your AK. And honestly, this doesn't look too far out of place. And of course, it allows us to mount a suppressor. As well as taming recoil. This gun's 7.62x39. This tiny little brake here actually tames quite a bit of recoil, keeping the gun level and keeping the forward and rear motion pretty centered. So fast. Fast, dude. So I'm getting compensation, I'm getting braking, and I'm getting a suppressor mount all in one. So I think my number 1 has to be a combo muzzle device. Number 2, assuming that you do end up running that can, would have to be a way to tune your gas. I think one of the absolute best things to ever come out for the AK in the last 10 years has to be the K&S Precision adjustable gas piston. They can be put on by yourself. You really don't need many tools. If you really want a gunsmith to do it, you can, but I promise you, you're capable of doing it. It's not that hard. You can't even tell there's an adjustable gas system on this gun. We have a factory gas block, factory front sight post. There's nothing from the outside that would tell you this gun has tunable gas, highly tunable gas. So let me show you what that looks like now. You have a very factory bolt and carrier, and then you have the gas piston here. So you'll notice it looks a little different. It's just held in by a roll pin here. So you're going to take out your factory pin that holds in your piston, thread this guy in, pin it in, could not be easier. And then you'll notice the head is hollow. So when gas enters the piston, you're actually going to open up this collar here, exposing holes to let gas flow through the piston head, slowing it down. So when you do end up running your can, you're going to overgas your already overgassed gun. This will allow you to turn it down to recoil that is even below non-suppressed. These guns can shoot extremely, extremely soft. And these also, if you just want to turn gas down without your can, you can also tune recoil. If your AK is extremely overgassed, put one of these in, turn it down. Damn, those casings are going like 5-6 feet away. Yeah. Let me show you that a little bit better. They're dribbling like 5 feet away, and the gun has less recoil than it did without the can on it. Most cans are gonna overpressure your gun, add back pressure, and they're gonna add recoil. That's the beauty of this thing, and you'd never know it was there. Whew. Awesome. Number 3 would have to be the trigger. Now remember, we want to keep the gun looking factory, like kind of a sleeper cell. This is actually an aftermarket trigger, but it looks kind of factory, so you're probably thinking I'm going to say ALG trigger because I swear by them. The thing is, you can spot an ALG trigger from a mile away. This is actually the new Meridian Defense trigger. It's constructed very similar to an ALG, feels just like an ALG, but it looks factory. Been one of the biggest complaints with people buying ALGs. They just don't look factory. Some people don't like their AK to look like it's modified. This is a 2-pound trigger with a lightning fast reset and trigger pull. It's like snapping a little carrot, but at first glance, you'd never know that this was an aftermarket trigger. It's extremely fast without changing the overall look of your gun. AKs have very curved triggers, so does this one, but it's highly capable. So that's an easy number 3 for me. Number 4 on my list has to be the safety. That's a factory safety. It's not changed at all. So this one's kind of has a caveat to it. I have found myself kind of going back to factory AK safeties once they've been tuned. A factory AK safety is form fitted to the gun. They don't have a lot of the grooves cut out to hold your bolt back. It's kind of a pointless thing. And even like people like Krebs have completely deleted cutting out the safety because it just lets a lot of dirt and debris in. Your safety should also be a dust cover. Big open cavity, dust cover. Now you notice how freaking smooth that one is. Takes nothing. Knife hand up, knife hand down. Couldn't be easier. An AK safety, it's a free mod. It's nothing more than flipping your safety straight up in the air, tuning it until it feels good, and putting it right back in place. It is so easy to flip your safety up and bend it away from the receiver. It's a leaf spring. That's all your AK safety is. Putting it down, testing it until it feels good. You want positive retention without having to completely break your grip and use your freaking thumb to actuate it, which some AKs feel that way out of the box, and people instantly throw them away and they buy an aftermarket safety. Your factory safety can easily be tuned. It costs no money, and it turns a pretty terrible safety into honestly a very nice safety while retaining the ability to be a dust cover. Buttery. Number 5 is a basic red dot. Thing is, there's so many ways to put a basic red dot on an AK. I don't really want to get bogged down in the optic mounting too much, but I will say, if you have a factory AK side rail, use it. It can be taken off in a matter of seconds. It can be put back on in a matter of seconds and taken off in a matter of seconds. And if you buy a quality one like RS Regulate, it'll always return to 0. If you're going to use your factory side mount, RS Regulate is 110% choice number 1. It's not the cheapest, but it's the best. So there's that. Now, there are so many ways to do this. You could run an Ultimac replacement gas tube, run a dot there. I've done it, it works. You could run something like an Atero mount, replace your rear iron. That's great, but you then lose your factory sight, and we kind of get away from the keeping your AK looking super factory. It's not something you would notice right away, but I kind of like the idea of keeping my factory irons. If my dot goes down or screws up or whatever, 2 seconds, this is out of my way, and I'm back on my iron sights. That can't lose 0, and the battery can't go dead on them. So I kind of like just being able to get this out of the way, go to irons, and move on. So for number 5, I think a dot is an absolute must, completely taking your AK or any gun into the 21st century. And because AKs have that super nice side rail that so many people bag on, a lot of AR dudes just can't fathom that we're putting our optic mount on the side of the gun instead of on a railed top cover thing. It is honestly, I've tried them all. I've tried chassis systems, everything. Today, on a factory AK, I think the RS Regulate mounts utilizing a factory side rail is head and shoulders above anything else. It is just the best way to put a dot on an AK. And certainly for this video, if you're trying to keep it factory stock looking, you flip it over here, there's like nothing there. You just see like a dot floating over your dust cover. I can't tell you how many videos or pictures where I've shown the gun like this. People are like, how is that mounted? Is it just on the dust cover? Because it's like seamless on that side. Granted, on this side, dead giveaway, but from over here, it almost just looks like it's floating there. And it gets really low. If you're gonna run your AK factory, keep that factory stock on because your iron sights on your AK are so low, that's why the stock sits low. It's the way it was designed. So when you're running a dot on your AK, you want it to be low. You're really not doing yourself any favors unless you're running like night vision or nods or whatever, running risers on AKs. That just makes no sense to me. If you're gonna keep your factory stock, you need to get that dot as low, almost as low as your iron sights. And RS Regulate does that really good while still being able to take off your dust cover and put it back on without smacking your optic mount. Some optic mounts are too low and it kind of like locks your dust cover in place. It is a tiny piece of steel, by the way. It's hyper capable with the dot. And the second I don't like it, take it off. You've seen me take this off this gun 2 or 3 times in this video, and it still goes right back to where we can hold a tiny little inch group on that tiny little piece of steel. This holds 0 extremely well. On that note, I think if you're gonna have an AK and it stays looking pretty factory, but it has so much capability, that's it, man. Right here, we have an AK that can be suppressed. The gas can be tuned. We have a dot. We can easily take this thing out to 500. Our safety is buttery smooth while also keeping the debris out. We have a trigger that you'd never guess is a 2-pound single stage aftermarket trigger that can freaking rock and roll. It's all there. 5 easy mods that make this basic AKM a 21st century AKM. And all this stuff can be taken off in an hour and go right back to a slant brake, factory trigger, factory everything. Maybe not the piston, that would be a little bit more of a reversal, but you could also put your factory piston right back in, put that roll pin right back in, and you're done. But since the piston's literally the only thing you can't even see on this gun, put a K&S piston in everything. There's so many benefits to it. So many AKs are overgassed. They really are awesome. But that's all I have for you. This is one of my best shooting AKs that I own, and I love that it looks so close to the way it came out of the box. That's all I have for you today. Those are my top 5. What are your top 5? How do you like to modify your AK without spending a ton of money on gunsmithing and aftermarket? If you could only have 5 options, what would they be? List them down in the comments below. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll hop in as much as I can to tell you why you're right or why you're wrong. That's it, man. Go buy Third Pin threads. We got hats, we got t-shirts. That's the best way to support us. We don't do Patreon, and we do not do forced ad reads on you. I know you don't want to sit through that. I don't want to sit through reading them. We'll see you at Kalash Bash. Did it function? No. Damn. Needs even more gas.
Damn.
We don't have the can on. We're so dumb. Oh my God.